Let's get it right. Let's get the energy good. Going. All right. Shout out to everybody out there in YouTube world. It's your boy C Boogie Production. We got the we got the co-host that love to do the most, man. We got Rose in the building.
Hey.
And you know, man, we're trying to get the energy right, man. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to get some evil spirits out here, man. We're trying to bring a good energy. Only positive energy we really want at this moment. So, Rose, you know, we coming on a Friday night, and you know, here's the question. You know, and I'm gonna let you start off because you know it's always a war between the men and the women, right?
Right.
Um, Obviously, women gonna take up for women. The men we gonna take up for men. You know, for the most part. And then you know you do got a segment of people that's just in the middle. You know, you got some people in the middle that just want truth. You know, I call them like the truth seekers of the world and whatnot. Um, they don't really care what side the truth on because they don't really have a bias. But you know, the dating problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what most people want to speak about. The dating issues that a lot of people have. Is it the men's fault or is it the women's fault? What you think?
The correct answer is it's both of our faults, but in my heart of hearts, I do think it's the men's fault because men are leaders. The problems occurs is based on the CEO of a company. If you know, all of the problems fall on him, not the workers. So he takes the blame.
But have you ever worked at a job where it was disgruntled workers and the workers didn't do their job, no matter how much you train them, no matter how much you pay them? Have you ever been to a job where that was the case?
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
And you know what that means? You got to hire new workers.
It's either you have to train them until they get it right or you fire them. Now, if it's an employee that it's hard for you to find another employee because the line of work is so specific, then you're going to have to train them.
Well, my thing is this, right? You know, as far as who's the problem, the men or the women. You know, like the reason why I asked that is because are a lot of people in like the dating industry actually helping the majority of people, or are they pacifying people? Are they turning people into monsters? Are they not giving, you know, men and women practical advice that they can use? See what I'm saying? Like, what you think about that?
I do think they are giving good advice. I think the problem is the lack of character, the lack of learning how to solve problems with one another, and the problem is deception. You know, lack of truth, a lot of lack of truth, and being real about your feelings and communicating properly. I think a lot of times we hide our emotions, hide our feelings to front, to act like things don't phase us when it really does. Just to seem like you got things under control, but you really don't. I think we lie to ourselves. We lie to our partners. We're not honest.
We're not honest. Now, why do you think, from your perspective and your opinion, why do you think men and women just don't want to be honest? Do you think that's some type of hidden motive or agenda, or are we just creatures of habit? Do we not just care? Do we want what we want? Why do you think a lot of people just don't want to be honest?
I think because I think we are. I think we want what we want, and we and our aims are different. I think a lot of men. Okay, our aims are different. People don't know that they're placeholders. People don't want people to know that they're placeholders because it goes against their self-interest.
Yeah, I mean, like it makes sense. I mean, that's why anybody will lie. I mean, starting from, you know, when we was kids and your mom asked you, did you eat all the cookies? And we said no because you didn't want to get a whooping, or just whatever the case. So,
and there's a difference between flat out lying and then just being straight up deceptive and telling half truths. Like,
I mean, a lie is a lie.
I mean, some people think that
it's
different.
If
there's levels.
If the truth is not involved, it's a lie.
Or if the truth is switched up a little bit,
then it's not the truth. By definition, at that point, it's not the truth. But I see what you're saying.
Not being straightforward is also a lie. Like if somebody asks you, a lot of times people play in that gray area, which they are telling the truth, but it's deception. You see what I mean? They're not answering the question directly. They're answering the question, quote unquote, truthfully, but it's to deceive you. And people play that game a lot, more than we.
What I'm saying, I totally understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, by definition, you know, there's no such thing as an alternative truth. You know what I mean? You either got the
facts.
Truth, right? Stuff like that, or partial truth is either the truth, or you got to call it something else. But for sake of time, we just gonna go with what you said. I understand where you're going, but by definition, the truth is the understanding of reality. That's the definition of truth. The understanding of reality. Either you in reality or you're not. You see what I'm saying? You can't be halfway in. It just don't work like that. So we're going to go ahead and move on. But I kind of get what you're saying. Manipulation for a lot of people is the name of the game, because a lot of people like to play these kind of little mind games or whatever, little mind hacks and tricks on people. You know, just plain old manipulation tactics and whatnot. Men do it. Women do it. Truth be told, that's a large part of the dating scene right now. You know what I'm saying? How can I get what I want, when I want, how I want it? How can I control somebody? Because, you know, particularly between black men and black women, that's the biggest thing, is control, right? And so, you know, it's really holding a lot of people back. A lot of people, truthfully, they don't want a relationship. You got to look at the word relate. You know what I mean? You got to start with the word relate. You got to start with at the end of the day, if you don't know how to relate to somebody, you know, and these are fundamental skills that we should have learned as children, right? The moment you stepped into kindergarten, this is when they train you, you know, how to deal with other kids, you know what I mean? How not to be selfish, how to play, you know what I'm saying? How to be courteous and things of that nature, right? So if you don't know how to relate to somebody, that's on you. But the truth is, relationships these days, they're, you know, 1 billion% for a lot of people about control. You know what I mean? And how can I get what I want? This, that, and the third. And it's causing a lot of people a lot of, just a lot of heartache and headache, man, because once you put all that energy into trying to control somebody, first of all, it just drains you out. And then you already attach yourself to an outcome and an expectation that may never come, because you think that your manipulation tactics work. You think your way works and whatnot. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, a lot of people got to be careful with that type of shit, man. And instead of just being cool and just relating to somebody on whatever level that you're going to relate on. You know what I mean? You can relate on the sexual level strictly. You can relate on the friendship level. You can relate on the spiritual level. You can relate on the emotional level. You know what I mean? All relationships don't have to be the same. There's many, many different forms of relating. Or you can relate on all cylinders. You know what I mean? That would be the ideal, you know what I mean, relationship. You can relate on the financial level. But That's all a relationship is. Now, we totally forgot about that part. Just relating. We don't even know how to do that no more because we're too busy in the control bag, and not enough people want to keep it real.
Right, exactly. And I think the number one problem, and I just thought about this right now, and based on my personal life, there is truly lack of friendship between men and women. Especially, I honestly don't think people should date anymore. I think people should start off as friends.
Well, why do you think friendship between a man and a woman is important? Because I'm just gonna be honest. It's a lot of guys online that say, a woman can't be my friend. She need to sit down, shut up, and make me a sandwich. I literally heard a guy say that.
He need to sit down and make himself a sandwich. He needs to do that. But I think a lot of times men feel the need to dominate a woman, and that's not his role. His role is not to dominate us. Is to protect us and to love us, and all the great things. But I think there's a problem with relating and being genuine friends without sexual attraction or any of that extra stuff. And a lot of times we abuse that. We abuse that by saying friends with benefits. A lot of times men misled women into saying, hey, be my friend with benefits. I just want to sleep with you. I don't want any relationship. Let's just be friends and have sex. And a lot of women who are weak-minded and they accept that.
But here's where I gotta stop you.
Want more.
Here's where I gotta stop you. Now, the weak-minded part, the low self-esteem part, that's not on the man. You know what I mean? Anybody should never go into a relationship with a bunch of insecurities. That's not a man's job. If I just meet you and your self-esteem is in the toilet, that's on you. Now, if I come and exploit that, or if it just fall into my lap, or whatever the case, because usually when you meet a woman that's very needy and with low self-esteem and things of that nature, then she kind of what word am I looking for? She kind of hoists herself, into the man. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Into the man's life. You see what I'm saying? A lot of times it's not just the man, playing these manipulation tactics on the woman, but a needy woman, a lot of times they come to the man. You know what I mean? It goes back to one of my favorite sayings. The heart going to attract whatever belongs to it. You know what I mean? Period. So, a lot of women, they walk head first into a situation and, they get themselves into trouble. And going back to another thing that you said about the, nobody wants to be dominated. I mean, let me put a final point. Nobody wants to feel particularly dominated in all facets of a relationship. That a woman has to volunteer to be dominated. Let's say in the bedroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
A woman has to want that from a man. A man can't just throw himself on the woman and say, no, she got to raise her hand and say, hey,
this is what I want.
You got everything.
And it's natural for a feminine woman to say, yes, I want it from you. Not from everybody, from the selected man that I want it from. You see what I mean? So, I get it. My thing is, when they say it's that shows a man's character if he sees a weak woman and because of what he wants, or if he wants to win, he takes advantage of that. That's like if you know somebody's weak and you just take advantage of it, I mean, that does show your character. That does show you that you're not really a person that thinks about the well-being of another person.
Depending on who you're talking to. I understand what you're saying. If we talking
on
about
a basic level.
if we talking about children, I might give you that blindly. But if we talking about adults, everybody gets exploited. That's just the way of the world. You know what I mean? Everybody exploits weak people. Everybody exploits poor people. Everybody exploits the disenfranchised. Everybody exploits the uneducated. Hold on. Can I finish my statement, please? Everybody exploits people that can't take up for themselves. That's why you got bullies and you got people that get bullied. That's the way of the world. Now, it's your job as a human being, as an adult, to make sure you don't get exploited, to protect yourself, to make sure you got all these holes filled in. Now, a woman is not going to take it easy on a man. And I really hate comparing men to women. But what I'm saying is, if we just talking about exploitation on his face, if a man is a lick, a woman ain't going to start biting her fingernails and say, oh my God, he's a weak man. I'm just going to let him free back into the wild. I don't want anything. No. It don't work like that. So I get what you're saying on some level when you're talking about character. That's between a man and himself, right? A man has to sleep good at night, right? A man has to be able to look himself. Y'all see the book? Hold on, put it over here. Mirror Talk.
Shameless plug.
It's definitely a shameless plug. Y'all cop that off Amazon. A man has to be able to look himself in the mirror, right? Now, all of this stuff I understand, but if a man doesn't have that, internal governor and compass inside of him as a man, if he wasn't taught certain characteristics, whether it be through religion, his family, his upbringing, environment, whatever, then of course he's not going to give a damn. Because you know what? What if a man come from an environment where it's dog eat dog? What if a man come from an environment where it's kill or be killed, right? Do you truly think that man is going to be thinking like, oh my God, I need good character?
I believe that I understand the world we live in. I was speaking on that part, the character part. And that's why I do believe everyone, whether you're a good person with good character or a bad person with bad character, everyone should have a level of ruthlessness inside them so that they could protect themselves if need be. All I'm saying is,
go ahead,
all I'm saying is it's a character flaw. It's a character flaw for me to see a man in going out with him, or if I know in my heart of hearts I don't want him and I still let him take me out to eat. That's to me.
But you do it all the time, right?
No, I don't actually.
I
don't.
So you never did that? You never went out on a date with a man you had no intentions on doing anything with?
I did when I was on Tinder and I was on the phone with him, and then I was like, okay, let me try it out. I did it one time, and that was the last time I did that. But that I'm talking about a guy I met in person. If I accepted the number, I wouldn't even accept the number if I don't like him. So, or I don't have a potential like for him. So, or not sexually attracted to him. So, I'm saying that in the dating market, it's a character flaw. If people are going around saying, "Oh yeah, if I see a lick, I'ma lick it," then yeah, the dating world is gonna be a savage world. I'm saying, you asked me the problem of the dating world. I think that's what it is. I think a lot of times, if it's a moral issue, and men are saying, if men feel like if they could sleep with a woman and they think it's morally wrong for them to sleep with a woman just because they're horny, regardless of what the woman is, what she's going through, or if she likes him and he exploits that. If he decides to have sex with that woman just because he's horny, even though he feels like that's morally wrong, it's a character flaw.
Okay, I understand. Because we got to push the conversation a little bit forward. Look, again, I'm going to say this one more time. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. That is not a man's fault to build up your self-esteem when he don't know you. Now, it'd be nice. Let me just be honest. It would be nice if a man meet a woman and let's say he noticed off top her self-esteem jacked up. You know, she looking at the ground. She can't hold her head up. Or he just talked to her, realized she got a bunch of problems. It'd be nice if a man either left her alone or was delicate with her or whatever. But again, dating and morality essentially is two different realms. Why? Because the morality of dating is going to be relative to the man. A lot of it is class. A lot of it is environmental. A lot of it is, you know, what we seen growing up. Dating, when you start talking about dating, because dating intertwines with sex, right? Now you getting into the deep, dark crevices of people's minds and their hearts and their libido and and all of this. So, do you understand how dark this dating thing gets? Now, let me please. So, it goes so deep. I just forgot what I was about to say, man. It gets real dark because the game is dirty, and it goes so deep with a lot of people impulses, a lot of people, you know, awkward, alternate sexual desires that they may never tell nobody, because we don't know anybody's intent, or we never can crawl in somebody's mind. You see what I'm saying? And be like, oh, you know, you got the best for me sexually. You don't know, you know, if somebody's sitting back watching all kind of alternate porn and they want to try it out on you or whatever the case, or, you know, they just got a real creepy type of vibe going on or whatever. So this is where the dating scene gets very dark, because you're not just dealing with somebody on a level of, or me and you gonna go to Panera Bread and talk. You know, dating for the most part, it does include sex. You know what I mean? Dating does include intimacy. Dating does include a bunch of other things than us just bonding on a very platonic level. That's a part of it, but that's not exclusive to it. So once you throw the things that make dating very complicated, meaning money and sex, right? Money and sex makes everything complicated with this dating thing. This is where you're going to get people dark, desperate, trifling, deceiving, manipulative nature coming out because they want something from somebody. Now, we can say, well, you know, you should just ask for it. Me personally, I got the mindset that, you know what, I'll just ask for it. A quick sidebar. I've gotten a lot of things in life by just asking. This is a true story. A lot of people sleep on just asking for something, but that's a different story for a different day. I've gotten a lot of stuff in life y'all wouldn't believe by real. Just, you know, the Bible says a closed mouth don't get fed.
Exactly.
Snapple top. But
people don't have enough confidence in themselves to do it.
I mean, you know.
So,
well, I still wasn't.
Sorry.
I mean, like, you can go ahead. You got a lot to say.
What I was going to say about the first point that I made, there's a reason why when a woman is drinking and she's quote unquote weak-minded and if a guy takes advantage of her, it's a crime. Now, I'm not saying women are that weak, but I'm saying it's the guy's character to see that and prey on that and take her home. That's a crime, but it is her fault for getting to that level where she cannot function. It's her fault.
I don't know if
she takes accountability. She has to take accountability for that. Every woman must know her limits so she doesn't go down that road. But of course, we live in a dangerous world where, you know, people will take advantage of you. But I'm saying it is a character flaw thing.
I don't know if you watch boxing. I like to watch boxing. You know, the referee in boxing says the moment you step in his ring, you got to protect yourself at all times. The moment you jump off the porch, you got to protect yourself at all times. That's just the role of an adult. You see what I'm saying? Me personally, although I understand your premise, I totally understand where you're coming from, and I don't totally disagree. But what I'm saying is, the issue I have is that a woman has no business dating, period. if her self-esteem is jacked up, or if she's hurt from a last situation, or if she ain't right in the dome piece, or she had too many disappointments, she had daddy issues. I would tell the same thing to any man. Like, look, why would you get out in a dirty game? Because dating scene right now is a dirty game.
Right.
We are trying to stay clean in it. Why would you get out here in a dirty game like the dating game, and you got so many holes in you, you got so many insecurities that, you know, you pretty much asking of somebody to take advantage of you. That's like going to a car lot and your credit score is a 600. You're asking the bank to give you a high interest rate. How about you take 6 months, pay off as many credit cards and bills as you can, build up your credit score, come back when you at a 700. Now they can work with you on your terms, or it can be beneficial for both of y'all. But we don't want to do that. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people got the longing to belong and need, and particularly women, when they, you know, want this false sense of protection or whatever. You know what I mean? A lot of women are gluttony. Excuse me. A lot of women got a gluttony for punishment. You know what I mean? That's one thing I really see with women these days, that a lot of women have taken the role of a human punching bag. Why do you think on YouTube, let's talk about social media, YouTube in particular. Why do you think on YouTube, right? Mm-hmm. You get all these women, they hang out in men's spaces listening to the worst of content about them. Not just basic critiques, but listening to dudes like, I mean, talking about their physical features, talking about their hair, talking about, you know, every part of their body, talking about their behaviors, talking about what's between their legs. I mean, why do you think women, they crawl into these spaces and they get up under these men while these men, I watched one YouTuber, he was taking calls one day, and it wasn't, you know, Kevin Samuels, rest in peace, because I know Kevin took calls, but it was another YouTuber. I promise you, he called the woman 50 bitches in about 2 minutes. I've never heard a phone call like that. And when you know what happened when it was over?
What happened?
He was like, "Excuse me, miss, are you there?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm still here, daddy." Like, she didn't say it like that.
Hell
but
no.
At that point, I threw up my hands, right?
Right.
I said, you know what? It's nothing you can do for these women. It's not a female dating coach. It's not a female matchmaker. It's not a female, what's the other one? Sex coach or whatever the case, right? It's not anybody that can help a woman like that until this woman admit, accept, drop down to her knees and say, "Mama, my self-esteem is low. I'm coming home." You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you the same person that's going to the car lot with the 600 credit score trying to get you a brand new car, and you upset that it's 19% interest on that loan.
Hell, 24%.
You upset
Right.
that you got to pay $650. Your damn car payment is $650 because your credit score was 600.
You know why? People need to check their desires. We really need to do that. Like, we need to check ourselves. Like, why am I wanting this? Why am I desiring this so bad that is detrimental to my well-being?
Validation, acceptance. I mean, at the end of the day, we all want somebody to care about us. We all want that feeling. It may not be the real thing, but we all want somebody to at least act like they care about us. Even if we bend ourselves out of shape, even if we shrink ourselves or break ourselves for it, we all want somebody to smile at us from time to time. Basically, we all want, you know, somewhere we can feel like home. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. That's really a good thing, but you got to be careful how you go about that type of stuff.
Right. I think a lot of times we get wrapped up in who the person is versus how they're treating us. There should be a high ratio on both ends. It's who the person is. If he is a well-known person, you know, everybody likes him or whatever, he's popular or whatever. And how he's treating you, that's the second part. I think a lot of times we wrap ourselves up with the person versus how they're treating us.
At the end of the day, I got to stop you right there again. That statement, it overlaps each other because a lot of times how we allow somebody to treat us is based on who the person is. You see what I'm saying? That's just the reality. Some women we gonna allow to do certain things. Some women, it's a no nonsense. Oh my God, somebody calling my phone. It's a no nonsense type of environment, man. So that statement may be true. You know what I mean? But at that point, we're not being honest with ourselves. You know what I mean? We it's a lot of capping with that. At the end of the day, yo, 9 times out of 10, your treatment was a little bad based on who that person was in regards to you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A person probably wouldn't have took that treatment from, anybody else.
Right.
And a lot of people know who they are. Meaning, if somebody got a pretty good actualization of who they are, especially in your eyes, they probably going to exploit that too. So, look, that statement right there
is necessary. And I understand what you're saying, but it's very necessary for us to remind ourselves that. But I do understand what you're saying.
I'm just being 100. But let me move on for a little bit.
Ooh, I left something out with that statement. And and also your desire for them also is who they are, how they treat you, and the desire that you have. Because if that person is who they are, but they're not treating you right and you don't really like them like that, then it'll be easier for you to walk away and check them. But if the desire is high, then yeah, that's hard. Because just like the woman that went to the car dealership that wanted that car, her desire was high. That's why she was like, I don't care about the APR interest. I want it.
Well, maybe she just needed a car that bad. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's where I stand on a lot of different things. Let me go ahead and reset the podcast. Yo, we're coming at you live on a lovely, lovely Friday night, the Nerve of You podcast. And it's your boy C Boogie Productions. We got the co-host that love to do the most. We got Rose in the building, y'all. And we just chopping it up about who's really the problem, men or women. You know what I mean? And we just kind of hashing out some things. And, I would say a lot of things we agree with. A few things we don't agree with. And one of the things that I don't really agree with is you putting a lot of onus on the men, basing it off a man just having good character, even though I understand where you're coming from. But the moment you say that, and I'm just going off a lot of the context clues you're giving off, you take a lot of responsibility off the women to protect themselves emotionally, to protect themselves spiritually, to protect themselves sexually, etc., etc. It's like if we on an airplane, you can't save me till you save yourself. You can't go help anybody else till you help yourself.
Okay.
Hold on. I mean,
sorry. My bad.
I mean, if you want to do the podcast by yourself.
I'm sorry.
No, you good because you cut me off the whole time. I just want to get this little bit of statement, and I'll let you have the rest of the podcast. You know what I mean? Because you something got you on fire right now. It's all good though. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
But every time you cut me off, I totally forget what I was about to say. Oh yeah, so you can't help anybody else. You can't do nothing else if we on an airplane and we descending really quick until you put your mask on. You know what I'm saying? It's just is what it is, man. And it's how it has to be. So for you to say, well, our self-esteem is low and that's a character flaw in the man. I understand that, but that's up to the man to figure that out. You know what I mean? But in the meanwhile, as a woman, you got to 100% protect yourself and you are in control of that. If as a woman, if you want to come out the house, right, at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night and walk from bar to bar with the shortest mini skirt and your ass cheeks out and, your nipples is showing and all of that, and something happens, we can have the argument of nothing should have happened. Men need to control themselves. But we also need to have an argument. Well, why was you out there by yourself with your ass cheeks showing? You see what I'm saying? Like, when I see some women in the gym and they cover themselves up to work out, I didn't understand it, but, because we in the gym, people like to show off their muscles. I mean, I get it. But then every now and then, like, you'll see a woman, she'll have on spandex, but she'll have like a jacket or a sweatshirt tied around her ass. The spandex show a woman's figure.
Right.
And I didn't really understand it for a while. I'm like, girl, we at the gym, man, show that ass. But then I thought about it. I said, you know what? This is probably a woman that's just trying to protect herself. Because if she cover up her ass, right, essentially, you know what I mean, it should keep certain guys away. But
correct.
The woman that's walking around the gym and she's flaunting on her ass, then clearly, a lot of times she want a certain type of energy. You know what I mean? At least from the guy she want. She might not want the energy from the guy she don't want, but from the guy she want that. But some women, they're like, look, I just want to work out. I want to feel sexy, but I don't want you all up in my goodies. And to me, that's a sign of maturity. That's a sign of sexual maturity. That's a sign of emotional maturity. That's a sign of a woman that, you know what? They passed that validation stage. They passed the dick and attention stage. They at a stage in their life where anybody they bring into their orbit and circumference is going to add value to their situation. You see what I'm saying?
Agreed.
That's where I'm at. You dig? So, you had something to say?
Yes. Well, I was going to say that, remember when you talked about the men in Dubai and how they didn't do that to their women. They didn't want to destroy their women. Yeah, their women have to protect themselves and all that, but the leaders of their country decided to say, no, not them, because we value them. And yeah, I'm gonna still have effery, but I'm gonna do it not to my people. I'm gonna do it to your people. That mentality is still flawed, but they still had enough respect for their women to keep them clean in a way, because they know that if they are offering the money, some women will bite on it. But because of that, they were like, you know what? Nah, it's too close to home. Let's mess up somebody else's woman. Just like, I think it was the Italians that said, we're not going to do it. We're not going to sell it to our community. We're going to sell it to their community. Kind of like that. They're still immoral, but there's levels, right?
What was the point of bringing it up?
The point is,
seriously, this is a bad example.
The point is, the men valued their woman enough to do the right thing for their woman, but not for another group of men's women.
It still doesn't constitute them guys having character. They had
good character enough for their woman, but not the other person's woman, because
okay, so that's still not good character.
There's levels.
I mean, that's like saying Superman is only going to save certain people when he's in his cape. That's like saying Batman, whenever they throw up the Batman sign, he's only going to come out for certain people. Like, oh my God. I mean,
so when I was watching the documentary on fentanyl, right? The chemist that was working on the making the pellets, the woman that was documenting the whole thing, she asked him, she said, do you know that all of this fentanyl that you're making in the lab is killing 30,000 Americans a year or something like that? And he said, he said family first, meaning this is what put food on my table for my family. So his character is good in that sense, but it's bad on caring about a group of people that decided to take drugs on their own I guess volition. So people are flawed. But I mean, I think that does apply.
You're kind of making my point for me. You just said it. You said all that to say people are flawed. You said all of that to come back to people are flawed. So meaning even if they sold it to their own people, it's the same excuse. People are flawed. I understand what you're saying. I'm not even trying to give you a hard time. I really, I really believe that was a really bad example. But I felt like I knew what you was trying to say. But again, it's up to an individual, right? It's kind of like having an enlightenment experience in your life. An out of body experience or an experience with God or something. That's very personal to an individual. You know what I mean? I can take you to church or vice versa 1,000,000 times, and you might get everything out of that experience. It might take me 1,000,000 times before I have my personal experience with God. So it's nothing you can do to teach me morality. You know what I'm saying? I have to wake up and walk into that. I have to hold myself to a standard. And I go for men and women. You see what I'm saying? So, like I said, it'll be nice as a man if my character was just A1 from day one, and I can just be, and I can just be upright to people that need it. But that's not always going to be the case, because if you know anything about life, people only exploit people that they can get away with it. You know what I mean? Like, the police aren't going upside the head of people that's going to defend themselves. You see what I'm saying? The police aren't harassing people that's going to fight back. This is just how life works. So what I'm saying is, if we know how life works, if we know the game we into, if we know the game is rigged and dirty, then you got to come with your Kevlar. You got to put your bulletproof vest on. You got to have your armor. You got to have your camouflage. You got to have your boots tied up tight, your gloves, and your weapon, because you going into a battlefield. Now, you want to walk into a battlefield with none of that. You want to walk into the battlefield with no armor on and tell everybody around you that's been in war to stop shooting because you on a battlefield. I think that's kind of borderline delusional, so to speak. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. There's a reason why. I think the bottom line is people will take care and love things that's within their boundary and what they value at the end of the day. So that's why we have countries. That's why Americans protect Americans. That's why everybody protect their own. And they don't care about the other, to the point that they will kill another country citizens because they either crossed the line, something happened, they want what they have or whatever. They are going to protect their own and take what's yours, or whether it's justified or not.
But you're trying to make an argument about character. I understand your argument, and I really want to move on. Your argument. Let me get this negative energy. I have to do it again. It's negative energy in this space. You're trying to make an argument about character, and I'm trying to help you out a little bit. It doesn't mean that they have character. If I live in Russia, right, and I'm steady bombing on Ukraine, yeah, I might be doing what's best for my country, but it doesn't mean what I'm doing to another person's country is right. It still means my character is a little bit flawed if I'm in that country for the wrong reasons. If I'm Palestine and Israel came in and took our land and are oppressing our people, yeah, they did it for the people of Israel. Yeah, they're gonna look like they did the right thing for the people of Israel, right? But for the people of Palestine, y'all came, took our land, and now y'all oppressing our people. And at the end of the day, that ain't right. So it doesn't mean they have good character. And then they try to back it up with all kind of dogma and crap. So what I'm saying is, if your argument was about character, I can't roll with that. But if your argument is just about, helping your people, or, doing the right thing based on your community, then I can see that. Yeah, but it doesn't. Yeah. If I'm a drug dealer, let's just go with that. Since drugs is the hot topic right now. Right. If I'm a drug dealer, just because I sell drugs in your neighborhood doesn't mean I got good character. It means I'm smart. It means I want my community to maybe thrive, but eventually, the thing about energy? What? it's gonna come right back on you. Like, you know what I mean? It's just the reality of things, man. You know, once you put that energy out there, you crack that door. Well, that door swing both ways half the time. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't mean I got good character. Yeah, I took my pack to your block. I'm gonna mess up the mothers and the fathers and the kids in your neighborhood. I'm gonna bring pain and destruction to your block. What's gonna happen? You say all that about character, but what's gonna happen whenever you drive down that block and see the destruction I did? Yeah, it might not be in your neighborhood, but you're like, you know what? If you don't feel anything at that point, that means your character is still flawed.
And that's why I added to that statement, I had an addendum. I said people should have good character and a certain level of ruthlessness that they can apply when needed, when necessary. It doesn't, like, if you're just a person with good character and you don't have power or ruthlessness to back it up, to enforce good or enforce bad or whatever you want to enforce, then that's a problem.
We talking about selling drugs, not like protecting your family from an armed robber. You know what I mean? We're not talking about anything good. So, but I see what you're saying. I really want to move on because we'll be debating about this all weekend. Now, who's the problem, men or women? I'm going to go ahead and reset the room. Yo, it's the Nerve of You podcast coming at you on lovely Friday night. We got the co-host that has been doing the most. We got Rose in the building, and it's your boy C Boogie Production. Yo, tomorrow, starting at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we got a virtual self-improvement summit. You know, hey, I want everybody to come sign up, man. Go on Eventbrite / virtual self-improvement summit. Sign up. And, hey, man, it's going to be a joyous occasion, man. You know, we got a lot of dope speakers, man. And we just going to have some real talk, man. We're going to have some vulnerability. We're going to have some laughs. We're going to have some stories. We're going to have some good information. And, you know, I just wanted to be a real healing experience. But back to the podcast. Who's the problem?
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Who's the problem, men or women? Men or women. And I've seen some people come into the chat. They're like, you know, it's both people. It has to be both. You know what I'm saying? Now, as a man, I don't mind taking responsibility for my actions. Look, and I'm just speaking for a black man. There's no way I'm taking responsibility for all these Negroes. That is, I can't. Do you understand the mindset of the average nigga? Do you know, I'm just gonna be honest, do you understand that, no, it's too early. I'm not even gonna go there. I don't even want to go there, man. But this shit's so wicked. But do you truly understand the dating climate that we're in and what is really doing to people? A lot of people think they got the answers, right? But they don't. And what we try to do is we try to put people in categories. We try to say, oh, you know, it's this group of men, it's that group of men. It's the Pookie and Ray Rays. It's the hood chicks. Well, you know, if I'm not mistaken, allegedly, you know what I mean? And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to take a lot of heat for this, but whatever. They saying Kevin Samuels overdosed off cocaine laced with fentanyl. Was he a Pookie? I'm going to ask the question again. And, you know, I know it's too early and I don't want to, but, you know, they saying allegedly, Kevin Samuels died from cardiac arrest because he has some cocaine laced with fentanyl. Now, Kevin Samuels was telling all of these women, date high value men, this, that, and the other. So at the end of the day, was Kevin Samuels considered a Poogie? I mean, this guy's doing, do you know what drugs do to your family? Drugs can cost you your life. But at the end of the day, you know, that's what the situation was. So my thing is just simple, man. You know, we can play the scapegoat thing and talk about women. Oh, y'all want these kind of guys. Y'all want those kind of guys. But yet and still, Kevin Samuels up in his condo doing cocaine. And I'll just leave it at that. And I find that very odd that we can live in a society where we can say, oh, it's these guys, or we could break the men down in factions. And see, Boogie was the only dude out here like, nah, I ain't really buying that. It's a bunch of niggas. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a bunch of niggas. It's not just the Pookie and Ray Rays. And at the end of the day, I appreciate that $2 super chat. I thought his cancer came back. So look, and maybe I wasn't supposed to say that, but I'm gonna say what I want. Know what I'm saying? I don't really give a damn. Thanks for that $2 super chat. Please don't tell me that is true. Yeah, it's true. Know what I'm saying?
Allegedly true.
Oh, what, the cocaine? Allegedly, it'll come out, but 1 + 1 is 2.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you know anything about fentanyl, I do. 1 + 1 is 2. Rest in peace to my boy Mike. 1 + 1 is 2. So what I'm saying is this. Here's what I'm saying.
What are you saying, Buggy?
Oh yeah, I keep saying. We always want to say, oh, it's this group of guys, it's that group of guys. Now, from what I'm understanding, Kevin Samuels was the spokesperson for the high value man, for the Renaissance black man, for the black man that got his stuff together. Now, so you telling me cocaine is good now?
Well, they do say it's a rich man's drug. That's what,
I don't give a damn. Drugs ain't good. You know what drugs what drugs do to families?
Yeah, it does.
Do you understand drugs can cost somebody their life?
Correct.
Do you understand? So, it just is what it is, man. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna go ahead and move on. I just want to keep it real though. We always want to place the blame on people, but at the end of the day, oh, it's this group of women, it's that group. We don't know who's doing all the effery out here. It's not just one group.
Right.
Know what I mean? It's not just one group. So we can say Pookie and Ray Ray. Well, at the end of the day, the proof's in the pudding, right?
Right.
The evidence is there. I just wanted to say that just to substantiate my point. Like, man, y'all tripping. But see, a lot of people ain't got nothing to say about it because it's too easy to point the fingers at Pookie, but they make excuses for Kevin. And this is why, I'm kind of indifferent about this YouTube thing half the time. I'm going to be honest. I don't really get caught up in it like I used to because I know how it is. Dudes will sit there for 2 years straight and talk about the Pookie and Ray Rays and that, but they'll make an excuse for Kevin. I ain't got no problem with Kevin. But I'm going to always keep it a buck. I'm going to always keep it a brick, right?
Right.
They'll make an excuse for Kevin because they like him. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They'll make an excuse for Kevin because he told them what they want to hear. But at the end of the day, what was he doing when the camera was off? Probably was being worse than a lot of Pookies. Because where I'm from, we don't play with our nose, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. Where I'm from, we don't play with our nose, bruh. So that's my thing. And I find it very odd. I find it very, very odd that, look, anyway, these guys ain't got no credibility, man. You know what I mean? You want to talk about character? These guys ain't got no character. Because, let me tell you something. When George Floyd had fentanyl in his system, I don't even think they hear me right now.
Damn.
Like, I don't think they hear me in YouTube world, do they?
They not hearing.
Like, YouTube world don't even understand what I'm about to say. When George Floyd had fentanyl in his system, it was black people that came out and said, he ain't one of us. He's the low-class black man. He had drugs in his system. He was out his mind. Mm-hmm. He had no business trying to cash a fake $20 bill or whatever the case was. All right, fair enough. Wow. But when Kevin Samuels... rest in peace. But when Kevin Samuels get caught playing with his nose, that ultimately, allegedly cost him his life, y'all make excuses for that. You know what, man? When I say who's the problem, men or women, all you motherfuckers the problem.
Ooh. Mm-mm.
Thanks for that $5 super chat, Shantavia Wade. I wasn't coming for you, Boogie. I was just saying that I myself speculated what his cause of health was. I mean, look, me personally, I'm like this, right? I wasn't there with him. I'm just going off of all the reports that came out. You know what I mean? But I'm just putting some dots together in cardiac arrest, fentanyl, everything laced with fentanyl these days. Look, it's not a stretch of the imagination. Now, if it was something else where I can be like, oh, well, you know what I mean, give somebody the benefit of the doubt. But I know a few people that died off fentanyl. I know how this works, man.
Right.
My homeboy Mike was found dead in the middle of the street. Rest in peace, my boy Mike, because he took some pills laced with fentanyl. I know another white boy. I know several people that passed away. So, you know, look, I'm saying allegedly, but what I'm saying is, if it's true, why don't Kevin Samuels get the same treatment as anybody else that's doing drugs? Because we don't care. And this is why everybody the problem. You know what I'm saying? This is why everybody, men and women, are the problems these days. Because real talk, we don't want to operate in truth. We want truth to come from certain people.
Right.
We don't want to deal with the reality of situations. You know what I mean? Right. And look, a man's drug of choice is up to him. If he want to do drugs, I don't care about that. But at the end of the day, if such and such did it, y'all gonna call him Pookie because he don't live in a high rise, because he don't make X amount of money and put on a suit. But when the guy with the suit sit there and play with his nose and get jammed up, because where I'm from, we don't play with our nose.
Right.
And get jammed up. Oh, you know what I mean? It's all the excuses in the world. And, oh, you know what I mean? Da, 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 da. He was just trying it out. Stop it. Who just tried cocaine for the first time when you almost 60? It's unheard of to me, dog. So, you know, who's the problem? We are the problem.
Right. I like what Lynette said. She said, I'm glad somebody said it. Men keep saying choose better. Choose who? Ray Ray and high value men are one and the same. Because it's
put it like this. You can have good character if you live in the hood. You can have good character if you live in working class. You can have good character if you live in middle class. You can have bad character in the hood. You can have bad character in middle class. And that's what I was always saying. Like, what are y'all talking about? You could be a college educated dickhead. You know what I'm saying? For real. Mm-hmm. You can be a college educated sociopath. But see, especially with Black America, we love to divide ourselves into factions because we can. You know what I mean? Because that's how white America wants us. The good Negro, you know, the house Negro and the field Negro.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It makes it easy for everybody to control Black people when we do that.
Right.
Instead of just saying we all need to get it right, we like to point the fingers. Oh, you a house nigga, you a field nigga, woo woo woo. And we left what we left with, but the reality is a lot of people in Black America, men and women, need to get it right and be honest about a lot of this stuff. It's not just the Pookies. It's not just the hood chicks creating havoc. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's cap. That's cap. And I find it very odd that because it's Kevin Samuels, right? Now all of a sudden, dudes want to make excuses. But if that was anybody else, when George Floyd had fentanyl in his system, these dudes got online and was talking like the KKK. George Floyd don't deserve protection. Oh, you know what I mean? He was a drug user. This is what, I didn't say that, Rose. These black men online said that. I didn't say that. The black men online said George Floyd don't deserve to be protested for because he was a drug user. This is what they said. So now we discriminating on who can use drugs and who can't, right?
And yeah, and you know that came from.
Let me get this energy out here. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
That came from it was a politician back in the 1960s that the reason why there was such a negative connotation to marijuana was because he made a speech that said only the degenerates of the community. He was talking to white people. He was like, only the degenerates races use marijuana. And that's what he was he was the president of the FDA, Food and Drugs business. So that's what put a negative connotation with marijuana. And a lot of people, that's what, made guys go to jail for like years at a time for marijuana. But now when, other races started doing it, whites started doing it, and then they legalized it, the connotation was it disappeared.
That's how it always gonna be.
So,
look,
yeah,
we all discriminate based on who we like. I've been talking about this for feel like the past 2 weeks.
That's true. It's power.
We all discriminate based on who we like, who we don't like, and who we want to accept information and truth from. But you got real truth seekers in life. A lot of real truth seekers don't have a lot of friends. Like, you know that, right?
Right.
A lot of real truth seekers, they rarely gonna take a position. You know what I'm saying? They always gonna be somewhere in the neutral zone, because it's not about how they feel, it's about the truth.
Right.
You know what I mean? My thing is this. I got my own opinions on women. I got my opinions on men. But I'm never gonna let my not gonna say bias. Well, in some ways my bias. I'm never gonna let my opinion get me away from truth. Even if it's against me.
Ooh,
you see what I'm saying?
That's hard to do.
Even if it's against me.
That's why character is so important.
Even if it's against me. Like, if I'm on my live stream and, let's say you made a comment that's pertaining to me, I'll just take accountability. Like, you know what? I fit the description. I'm not going to try to come up with 50 excuses on why, I did this or did that or whatever the case. I'll just stand on it. You know what I mean? It's just easier to just go in and operate in truth than sit there and try to convince you for an hour that I'm this or I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just too old for that. Like, the truth really does set you free. I mean, now everything ain't everybody's business, but for the most part. So, if you really seeking for truth in life, you're going to be more of an open-minded person. You know what I mean? You're going to be a rational, sensible person, and you're going to know how to reason, period. That's when you know you're dealing with a truth seeker. But when you're dealing with somebody that just want to confirm their bias, when you're dealing with somebody that's like extra judgmental, when you're dealing with somebody that want to hold somebody to a standard that they don't live by, hint, hint, hold somebody to a standard that they don't live by,
you're right.
Then they're going to have a very closed mind. They're going to be a closed-minded person. They never going to be in the middle. Their whole life is going to be based off judgments. You see what I'm saying? They never going to give people a real opportunity because they too busy judging people. I'm talking about judging people with the condemnation attached to it. You see what I'm saying? So,
right.
Look, live your life how you want. But what I'm saying is, boy, you never know who's doing what. Now, never in a million years, allegedly, would anybody online would have accused Kevin Samuels of using a narcotic, right? Yes or no?
Right. You're right. Definitely.
They probably would have said C Boogie did cocaine before Kevin, right? Let's just be honest.
Correct. That's a fact.
If I had 100 people, let me go ahead and reset the room. Nerve You podcast coming at you live on a Friday night. We got the co-host I love to do most. We got Rose in the building.
Hello, everyone.
So, if I took 100 people from online, right, told them to do a survey and said, who's more likely to do cocaine? I ain't never do cocaine a day in my life. I put that on my children. Who's more likely to do cocaine? C Boogie or Kevin Samuels? 98% of people would have said C Boogie.
That's correct.
98. The only two people that would have said no is
me.
Is you and my mama. Real talk. Is you and my mother. Everybody else would have said me.
Ooh, condemnation.
I'm trying to just give you an example here. Follow me. Right? In a million years, man. Like, they would have said C Boogie all day. I don't care what nobody say. Okay. Now, by every metric in life, I would be the guy that they would say, he probably on something. You know what I mean? He a little crazy, he a little erratic. I am a little off, but at the end of the day,
you are.
But here's the thing. That's not true. See, I'm trying to teach you something real quick. I'm trying to teach real quick. It's like this. You never judge a book by its cover. You go back to the fundamentals, right? See, when you judge a book by its cover, when you don't have an open mind, and that's the disadvantage of image too, because I'm sitting here in a t-shirt and a ball cap, right? And Kevin has on a suit. Kevin's more believable in society.
Perception is reality.
So when Kevin walked into a room, they would never say, oh, you know, he would do a narcotic, he would do certain things. But when I walk into a room, I got tattoos, you know what I mean? I fit the whole image of somebody that would be attached to an addiction. And at the end of the day, I'm not, you know, that's not who I am. So all I'm saying is, you got to have an open mind, people. You have to have an open mind. I kind of feel like I've been preaching this for the last week because we discriminate. I've been talking about this the whole podcast. We discriminate who we want our information from. We don't know who we taking our information from. And I had to use this as a teachable moment. I find it very odd. And you know what? Like, you know what's more disgusting than anything?
What's more disgusting, Boogie?
All the dudes that come up with excuses. Because like I said, and it's almost mind-boggling. When George Floyd, and I got to bring this up, because I watch black people, particularly black men online, drag George Floyd. All right, cool. George Floyd was highly flawed. But he didn't deserve to die, is what I'm saying. And he definitely didn't deserve to die because he had fentanyl in his system. George Floyd had fentanyl in his system, along with some other drugs, right? These guys calling him all kind of pookies and this, that, and the other, based on his addiction, right? Based on his addiction. See, this is the effery for me because we want to pick and choose who can be addicts right now. You know what I mean? And it's just like that in the dating world, Rose.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
If the person is closest to your ideal, you let them get away with murder. You're right. The farther they are away from your ideal, they can't get away with murder. They get the third degree, like you say.
Be honest, man. So it's crazy, man. And this should be a lesson to a lot of people, even in the dating world, because we're gonna wind this podcast down. Look, a lot of people are masters of disguise. They can look the part, they can act the part. If you don't examine someone's heart thoroughly, not no halfway scan.
Thoroughly.
If you don't examine somebody's heart and truly vet somebody and get to know somebody, you don't know what you're walking into. Probably the person you need, you walking past them every day. But the person that you want, you don't know what's in their heart. Sometimes it just could be backwards like that. But again, you know what they say, we want what we want, right?
Right.
You know, we get ourselves in a lot of trouble with this train of thought, is what I'm saying.
That's why when you asked me that question, I said, we got to take our time out to get to know someone on a friendship level, to find out how do they act without them, opposite from you on a date? How do they act in real life? And the number one thing that we break up with people on is the lack of character. That's the number one thing we break up for. And I had a relationship that ended, a friendship that ended on pride and lack of communication. That's another thing that there's a problem in the dating world. That's just on a friendship level. It's deeper on a sexual, dating, courting, marriage, level. That's way more, 10 times complicated. So, a lot of pride.
A lot of pride, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, we're going to go ahead and close this down. Shout out to everybody that tuned in on this lovely, lovely Friday night. And tomorrow, we got the Virtual Self-Improvement Summit. It's not too late to sign up. All you got to do is go to Eventbrite and, / Virtual Self-Improvement Summit, square yourself away. It starts at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. And this is going to be a real dope summit, man. You know what I mean? I'm really excited for it. So I can't wait. So shout out to everybody. And make sure y'all follow me on Instagram. Make sure y'all follow me on Instagram at C-Boogie Productions. And I see y'all Sunday, man.
I really enjoyed the podcast. And I can't wait for the summit tomorrow.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's pretty good. Pretty good. So y'all take it easy, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye.